Welcome to the series of mini lectures in Module 3, Assessing Language Knowledge. My name is Linh. Today, I will walk you through 3 videos, which covers 3 main aspects of assessing language knowledge. They are Mini Lectures 1, Assessing Grammar, Mini Lectures 2, Assessing Vocabulary, and Mini Lecture 3, Assessing Pronunciations. Now, let's come to the first videos in Module 3, Assessing Language Knowledge. In these lectures, we are going to find out what grammatical knowledge is and how can we assess it by tasks. In the 4th skill of listening, speaking, reading, and writing, the knowledge of grammar is at the center of language use. So, it isn't surprising that for many years, we believe that knowing a language means knowing the grammatical structures of that language. Although the importance of grammar in language learning hasn't changed, there has been a lot of debate about the place of teaching grammar in the language class. Over the years, the focus of grammar has changed depending on the teaching method. For example, the grammar translation method was more about learning the structures of the language than using it for communicative purposes. In contrast, the direct method didn't focus on grammar teachings at all because it was thought that grammar could be learned through exposure and interactions, in much the same manner that native speakers acquire their first language. Along with teaching grammar, what has been assessed as grammar has been changed over time. For example, in a grammar translation paradigm, text consisted of the learner's ability to recite grammatical rules, provide an accurate translation of the text, or supply a grammatically accurate word. Today, the knowledge of grammar is evaluated by its correct use in communication through listening, speaking, reading, and writing in the second language. In terms of assessment, grammar is central to language descriptions and test takers' performance, according to Reimers in 2006, and therefore it is important to know how best to assess a learner's knowledge of grammar. To begin these discussions, we need to first understand what we mean by grammatical knowledge. About grammar knowledge, Lesson Freeman in 1991, influenced by the communicative competence models of language pedagogy, characterized grammatical knowledge to show the interrelatedness of phonology, lexics, syntax, and semantics. Her conceptualizations of grammatical knowledge consisted of 3 interconnected elements: grammar forms, or the structures of a language, the grammatical meanings of those forms, and their pragmatic meaning or use in a given context. The elements above refer to the following. 1. Form is both morphologies, or how words are formed, and syntax, how words are strung together. Both morphologies and syntax are concerned with the linguistic accuracies of language. 2. Grammatical meanings consists of both the literal and intended message that is conveyed by the form. It is concerned with the meaningfulness of the language used. And 3. The pragmatics or implied meaning result from the appropriate language choice a learner makes in a given communicative event. With a brief summary of what grammatical knowledge is, we can now more clearly examine different types of tests that can be used to measure this knowledge. In short, assessment tasks for grammar can be divided into three main types: selected response, limited productions, and extended production. Now, we are going to break down on each type and look more closely. In selected response type, there are three tasks that students often encounter, which are multiple choice, discriminations, and noticing or conscious reasoning tasks. Multiple choice tasks. The most common selected response task presents a blank or underlined word or words in a sentence, and the test taker must choose the correct response from options that are given. The advantages of the multiple choice tasks are that they are easy to administer and score, and the disadvantages are that they are difficult to create, can promote guessing from test taker, and are sometimes viewed as not being authentic language use. However, these tasks are very popular, especially in standardized testing environments. Let's look at some examples of multiple choice tasks for grammatical form and grammatical meaning. Discrimination tasks are another type of selected response tasks that ask the test taker to attend to input that can be either language or non-language, and to respond to the forms of a choice between or among contrasts or opposites, such as true or false, right or wrong, same or different, so on. Discrimination items are used to measure the difference between two similar areas of grammatical knowledge, such as pronouns in subjects and object positions. Noticing tasks or consciousness-raising tasks. These tasks contain a wide range of input in the forms of the language or non-language, and are considered particularly helpful for learners. By attending consciously to form and or meaning, learners become aware of the existence of specific language features in English, according to Ellis in 1997. In these types of tasks, test takers are asked to indicate, underline, or circle that they have identified a specific features in the language sample. In the following example, test taker must distinguish between two types of the model group. In limited production tasks, the input in the item is language or non-language information. Like selected response tasks, the input could be a single sentence or a longer stretch of discourse. However, unlike selected response tasks, the test taker's response represents only a limited amount of language production. This response can vary from a single word to a sentence depending on the grammatical ability or construct that is defined. Sometimes the range of possible correct answers for the response can be large. Scoring of these responses can be either dichotomous or partial credit. Dichotomous scoring means that there is only one criterion for correctness, form or meaning, and test taker get it either right or wrong. Partial credit scoring, on the other hand, can be used with multiple criteria for correctness, forms and meaning, and allowed for adding up the score for the item in terms of full, 2, partial, 1, or no credit, 0. Limited responses can also be scored holistically or analytically. Among the most common limited production tasks are gap fill, short answer, and dialogue completion tasks. In gap-filling tasks, the language is presented in the forms of a sentence, dialogue, or passage, in which a number of words are deleted. The deletions are made to test one or more areas of grammatical knowledge, such as vocabulary knowledge and grammatical ability. Test taker must choose the appropriate response for the deletion or gap based on the content in which the language is presented. Short answer task. In some assessment tasks, the input is presented in the forms of a question or questions, following a reading passage or oral visual stimulus. The expected task taker response can vary from a single word to a sentence or two. These short answers can be scored dichotomously, right or wrong, for a single criterion for correctness, or with partial credit for multiple criteria for correctness. Now, let's take a look at the example task on the screen. Dialogue completion task. Here, in dialogue completion task, the input is presented in the forms of a short conversation or dialogue in which a part of the exchange or the entire exchange is left blank, and the expected response is meant to be grammatically correct. Like the other short answer tasks, the criterions for correctness can be the form or forms and meaning. Extended productions. The input for extended tasks is usually presented in the forms of a prompt. The input can vary in length and can be either language or non-language, such as gestures or pictures information. The purpose of extended production is to obtain large amounts of language from the test taker and to allow for more creative construction. Therefore, these tasks are likely to elicit instances of authentic language use. On the other hand, because the responses of test taker are usually open-ended with a number of possible correct options, these extended production tasks are often scored using rating scale. When constructing the rating scale, the test designer needs to first define the grammatical ability that will be assessed and the levels of ability, both of which must be able to be explicitly described in the scoring rubric. In general, extended production task is divided into two types: information gap task and role-play or simulation task. Information gap task. This task, more commonly known as the info gap task, presents the input in terms of incomplete information. That is, one test taker is given half or some of the information, and another test taker is given complementary information. Both test takers then have to question each other to get all the information. The need for negotiation makes this type of task suitable for measuring a test taker's grammatical knowledge to communicate functional meanings. The task can also be used to measure pragmatic knowledge because the reciprocal natures of the performance require the language of the test taker to display politeness, formality, appropriateness, and other conversational conventions. Role-play or simulation task. The input in role-play task presents test taker with a language or non-language prompt that asks them to take on a role or simulate a situation to solve a problem, make a decision, or perform some transaction collaboratively. The expected response of a role-play or simulation task can contain a large amount of language, and therefore it can be used to measure a test taker's knowledge of grammatical form, meaning, and pragmatic use. An example of a decision-making role-play is given on the screen. So, this is the end of the first mini-lectures in Module 3 on the topic of assessing grammar. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.